Hello, I am making buttercup squash soup. This time I won't hold the camera over the sizzling pan for 2 minutes straight. And I fell asleep after supper and I woke up at 7 and I thought it was 7 in the morning. And I'm like, hey, Robert, to my husband. He's like, what? I'm like, so how long you been up? He goes, what are you talking about? It's 7 at night. And I'm like, oh. Because I woke up at 5 a.m. I turned over and I got a wicked bad cramp in one of my calves. And I don't know if I didn't drink enough water yesterday or what, but I had to jump up and walk it off, and then I was awake and the cat was like, meow, meow. So I didn't want to be up at 5 a.m. because I think I went to bed late, probably on the internet, reading stuff, as usual. I need to get a library card so I can take a book to bed with me like I used to, but we don't have a library in our town. We have to go to the next town over and pay $40, and we also have to order fuel oil, and I have to buy new storage unit things or shelves for my books because there's absolutely no storage here, no closets, no drawers, nothing. So, the library card's going to have to wait till maybe the next paycheck. So, anyway, I roasted this squash. I just did it at 350 for about an hour, and maybe I left it a little longer, and I used this roasting pan. It's a pretty decent roasting pan. I got it at Kmart. It's a typical pan, except the only thing is these handles. Look at that. When you're taking a turkey out, you want the nice upright handles, and I really want a stainless one, but I don't know, they're wicked expensive, so maybe that'll be a Christmas gift or something. So, anyway, so I've got some beautiful orange bell pepper, I've got some onion, some carrot, and some red pepper, and the sticks are sprigs of rosemary from a rosemary plant that I bought at the local farmer's market a while back, and it was so beautiful and lush when I bought it. And then I brought it home, and that's my hot chocolate. I'm going to put some corn in too. Then I brought it home, and it was fine for a while, and then it started drooping. The leaves were turning brown here and there, and I'm like, because I love fresh rosemary. And yeah, I can buy it at the store, but it's like $2 for a little bundle. I'm like, oh, I can have a plant. But rosemary is a Mediterranean plant, and I have a master gardener certificate, but I've never been able to keep a rosemary plant alive. So today I was pruning it, and I decided to use some of the stems as flavoring, and that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to put in some chicken broth. If you want to make it vegetarian, vegan, just use vegetable broth or water. The recipe I'm using calls for 4 cups of water, but I'm just going to sort of judge it. I'm supposed to be putting a potato in too, which I forgot about. Yeah, I wrote the recipe down, but I left it on the table and just came over and started winging it. So, and I think I might make some bread or some bread dough so that in the morning I can bake it. Because every morning I get ambitious and like, oh, I would love some really cool homemade bread, and then I don't make it. This is called Maine Grains whole wheat flour. It comes from Skowhegan. It's wheat that's grown in Maine, and they grind it in an old stone mill grinder, and it's really good. It doesn't taste like wheat flour that you get in the grocery store. It doesn't taste like cardboard. It's very good, and I mix it with regular flour and just yeast and water, and sometimes I'll do a quick oh god, what do they call it? Like, it's not a soda bread because it's got yeast in it, but I put molasses and, you know, like a brown bread, basically. Flour, molasses. And that recipe, you only let it rise for a little while and then you bake it, but it's really dense, and I want something a little less dense. So I'm going to use some of this, some white flour, and maybe a little salt and, you know, oil, butter, something like that. And for the red pepper in this, you did not have the red Fresnos, which I usually like to put in these kinds of soups. So I used these red ones from our store has a thing, an olive bar with all these you know, pickled things, pickled roasted garlic and pickled red peppers. So I grabbed the one that had it was that white garlic and the red peppers. And I just throw it all in the same bucket because I don't care. And pulled some of that out, chopped it up, put it in, and then those other things are ginger. And I'm going to puree all this. So I really wasn't caring about how big I cut the chunks, because anyone on the cooking shows are like, everything must be uniform. And I'm like, yeah, right. No. I'm lucky if I don't have carrots rolling all over the counter and the floor. I picked up all my corn mess. I was taking corn off the cob. It was flying all over everywhere, and I picked it all up before I turned the camera on. So I'm a really messy cook. But anyway, so I'm going to make some soup, and maybe I'll make some bread so I can bake it in the morning. And if you get a hold of a buttercup squash, it's a relative of a turban squash. And this is locally grown, because our grocery store has a locally grown section. And I just roast it, you know, slice it, de-seed it, and roast it at 350 for about an hour, and scoop it in here. And once this stuff is a little softer, I'm going to add some broth or water and let it simmer until it's soft. And then I'll add the puree, and then, the mashed squash. And then I'll puree. I have a stick blender. I bought it for making soap. These are pretty cool. These I knock stuff down. Yes! This is a stick blender. And I make soap in my crock pot once in a great while. And you have to blend it to emulsify the lye water and the vegetable oils. So you blend it, and then when it starts cooking, you just stir it with a spatula or something. And then after like an hour or two, you have soap, and you put it into molds or a big log mold, and then you can cut it into bars. And it's so much fun making soap. I don't want to do it for a living, because I did that once, and it's not easy to compete against Lever Brothers and all them, you know, all the big soap companies. And people are like, why should I pay $3 for a bar of soap when I can go get some Ivory for almost nothing? I'm like, well, it requires a lot of customer education. It requires a lot of capital to keep going while you get it out there. And I was doing okay, but I didn't have enough capital. You can't just, you know, build a business on a shoestring. That's a lie. It's a lie, I tell you. So anyway, I'm going to blend it with this. You know, and I turn the heat off first, obviously. And then puree it that way. I'll take the sticks out, and then I'll puree it. Because trying to pour hot soup into a blender is a recipe for disaster. And my old Krups blender, we got from my father-in-law. He gave it to us, and there's something wrong with the locking mechanism. So when you pull it up off the base to pour, the glass piece comes off the bottom piece that sits on the base. And I was making crepes. I was making crepes last year out of chickpea flour, because I like trying to be all healthy and stuff. And I lifted it up, and the glass container came loose from the base, and it just spewed everywhere, all over my white cabinets that I had at my old place, all over the floor, all over my feet, all over my sandals, all over the counter. And chickpea flour is quite grainy, and when it dries, it's like glue. So I thought I had gotten most of it, but it was all over the front of my cabinets, and I kept scrubbing it and scrubbing it. I'm like, thank God they had glossy white paint on there. So anyway, that was my disaster story, and that is why I use a stick blender, because I'm prone to accidents in the kitchen and things catching fire once in a while. So try to be safe. And don't pull this thing up out. You keep it immersed. That's what they call an immersion blender. That's the other name for it. The technical name. So anyway, I'm going to make this soup. Make some bread dough. Let it rise overnight in the fridge maybe. And then we'll be ready for the 40-degree weather tomorrow night. Take it easy.